Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Firm podcast. Thank you so much for being here with your ears, your eyes, or one or the other, or both. Much appreciated. This week, we're staying underground here. We're going back to the basics. I got no trends to follow once again, and since the last episode I went deep into a mental health introspective nightmare situation, I have been led to think about going deeper into this and a specific topic that has affected me and perhaps not hopefully some of you, but perhaps some of you, and to gain insights and share and whatnot, and via deep, dark, emotional subreddits where people with severe social anxiety go to vent their problems. So we're going to get into that, and of course, Florida Man of the Week. So let's get into it.
Real Firm! He's the realest!
Starting off with the firmware update. I'm with this whole, what I'm doing here with this podcast now, the weird evolution of it, micro-evolution, because it's a micro thing, a little micro penis podcast. What the fuck? The whole ups and downs of weird, random, unexpected not viral, but relatively unwarranted exposure that I was not expecting, back to where I'm at. I really wish I could have a co-host or at least a studio or something, but it is what it is. But we're kind of going back to when I first started doing solo episodes, getting more intimate and just talking about really what is on my mind. But before we get too deep into that, in terms of Real Firm updates, FERMware updates, speaking of Real Firm, the Real Firm Radio, if you're not aware, on the main channel, which all of this sprung out of, FERM, it's at Real Firm is the YouTube handle, but for some reason, if you type that into the URL, it leads you to a different channel that is not mine. But it's in the description somewhere. The FERM channel, it's a music channel. I've been doing Real Firm Radio. It's my new live stream of song submissions. It's a good time if you're interested in that. Live is the best, but they're there to watch after the fact. Lots of great musicians, artists. Some in the beginning phases, some really fucking cool that you would never believe that aren't famous, that are grinding it out there. It's a good time. So that's fully underway. And I do have a fun upload coming up too. So if you're interested in YouTube, other content besides this, you can go check that out. I appreciate that. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube as well. And if you're just listening, rate, review if you like, or just keep listening. And if you want to watch the YouTube, or if you want to listen, vice versa, that's all available to you. Links are cross-posted wherever you're at. They should be, at least. The Olympics are happening. So today, I forgot. Yeah, no, I have nothing to say about the Olympics. Are cool. I mean, I'm not a big. I've been kind of into sports lately, but the Olympics never really came. But however, they will tie into our Florida Man of the Week, which is an interesting twist. But let's get into the actual meat of what I'm going to talk about tonight, in my time, this week in the podcast realm time. Social anxiety. So last episode, I just went into my own dark, depressive state that I was in, which I'm still always have been in. Like I said last time, for the past year, I'm not feeling particularly as depressed at this exact moment, which is good. But it's I'm not out of that phase. But the the root of it all, at least one of the roots, is a deeply rooted issue fundamentally with my psyche, perhaps biology, I don't know, but it is the social anxiety curse. I could really go off on a lot of deep into this just based on my own life experiences, but what made me want to talk about this is I've been getting like these Reddit. I don't use Reddit too often, but every once in a while the app just gives me like posts to read on notifications, and recently it's been giving me these, maybe it's listening to my thoughts, it's been giving me these social anxiety subreddit threads posts, and I've been reading some of them, and I'm like, oh my god, a lot of the times I'm thankful that I'm actually not as bad as some people, at least as some people claim to be in these Reddit posts, whatever you get, threads, subreddit posts. It is what, you know what I'm saying. As far as I could remember being consciously aware, I've always been afraid of strangers, and I mean, now afraid is a strange word to use, but as a child, definitely afraid. But now there's a fear, but I'm not like fight or flight, adrenaline afraid. It's actually sometimes that, I don't know. Maybe I'm going too crazy trying to describe it, but yeah, I've always been that way. And one of my first memories is being in kindergarten and just being the only kid alone on the first day, by myself, staring at the it was like a schedule with like, pictures at like lunch and all the times. And I remember in my 5-year-old brain, first day of kindergarten, being by myself looking at this schedule, like the first 10 minutes of being there left alone by my mom, and like grasping the amount of time that I was going to have to be there by myself, not knowing anyone. And I just started weeping by myself. Everyone else was all the other 5-year-olds were mingling with each other, and I was just one kid crying, looking at the schedule. And the kindergarten teacher like came up to me and comforted me, and which was what she must have been a great teacher. I don't have that many as strong memories as that particular moment, but I think she kind of assimilated me into that. But so the point is, ever since I can remember, I've never wanted to. I wanted to make friends, but the process was always very scary, and that's been pervasive. That's been propagated throughout my entire social psychological development. Up until now, which is why which is a big reason why I'm in a situation that I am now. Just in short, if you don't know, I moved back to Florida a little over 2 years ago after the pandemic completely uplifted my life for other reasons that I won't get into. But the pandemic was the main thing that made everything change, and I no longer was able to work in New York City, making pretty good money with close friends. Moved back to Florida, where I didn't have any friends really. Have some family, not many my age or in my that I'm not really that close to. And then the only thing I known is to like go on the internet and live stream and shit. That's how I met. Shout out to Rockstar Life 1 Word 3 Eyes, who I've done many podcasts with, who I've kind of started that whole co-hosting, casual podcast conversation type stuff with. I met him through the live streams. If I wasn't live streaming, and if he didn't invite me to see him perform, and then whatever, I probably would have not met anyone else still. So shout out to him for kind of bringing, and then through that I met so many other people in the local area without having to, on my own accord, just put myself out there and say, hi, nice to meet you, let's do something together. I need somebody to like pull me out of it. And so I'm lucky for that, but I relate to a lot of these people on the subreddits here, because there's a lot of wild posts. So I have a lot more thoughts on this, but to really ramp it up and jog my not my memory, but my conversation and thoughts on it. I have a few threads that I have up here that I want to read that are recent, and all from the r/socialanxiety. So this one was 23 hours ago. Life sucks, with a rock and roll horns emoji. Early 20s agoraphobia, haven't left the apartment in years unless I'm going on a drive and I refuse to get out the car. Social anxiety 2. Oh, because agoraphobia is separate, right? It's like, okay. Surprisingly, I have friends, but I don't know if I do anymore. Everything about anxiety got worse, and Xanax would fix that, but I'm never taking Xanax again. I don't even want to say that word, lol. I just listen to depressing, relatable music all day and vape. Yeah, so that's very disturbing. Early 20s, so not even really a fully developed brain. Haven't left the apartment in years unless going on a drive, and doesn't even get out of the car. I wonder what this guy does for work. Surprisingly, I have friends, but I don't know if I do anymore. He's not going into detail about that. But that's all interesting, because sometimes I don't think I have real friends anymore, but I know I do. It's just like, if you're like a loner type like me that doesn't feel like they're really connected with anyone unless you have like a close, consistent interaction with them, it's very easy to drift apart and not and if you don't have a partner, like a significant other like me as well, then it's very easy to all of a sudden you're in your head for too long, and it's very bad. Trust me. If you know, you know. If you don't, you can probably imagine. So these are the types of things people are posting, and I've seen worse than this, but this is just a recent one. This actually reminds me of a story, just a memory actually. I was when I was still in the city during COVID, shortly after it was kind of recovered, we were able to go out and stuff. I was at a brewery or something in Queens, not too far from where I lived, with friends a group of friends that I had known at the time, and I still do, but I haven't seen them in a while. But ironically, those friends have nothing to do with the story. I was on for whatever, I don't remember what the occasion was, but I had taken one of my favorite chemical compounds, which is well known for very much boosting your serotonin reuptake, it's the one that you feel really good and connected to everyone, and everything is lovely. So I went out to like smoke cigarettes or vape or something, and I was having some beers, and there was I walked out, I just remember walking outside, and there was these two older guys like smoking outside, and the one guy with long hair says, "Hey young man, have you ever heard of the Grateful Dead?" That's exactly, I will never forget that. And I was like, oh yeah, of course I know the Grateful Dead. And then he proceeds to tell me that him and his friend had just come back from a Grateful Dead concert in the city, and his friend had happened to live in Queens somewhere, and they just stopped on their way back after the Grateful Dead, and they had taken mushrooms or something, so they were still kind of tripping, and only because of the chemical compound that was coursing through my blood, I was more than happy to have a conversation with these lovely strangers. They were very, very friendly. But what's important is the guy that sparked up the conversation, his friend, turned out to be, and they were like in their late 40s, I believe. So like almost 20 years older than me. So I began to learn that the friend, the quieter friend, admitted to being a hermit, like that he described himself as a hermit. He said this guy that he was, the guy that he went to the concert with had visited him to go to the concert, and it seemed like that was his only friend or one of his only close friends. And he opened up to me and he was like, yeah, I don't have any friends. I just go to work. I work from home and I don't talk to anyone. And I'm single. And he was like in, again, late 40s, 50 or something. I can't remember. And I just remember thinking, that's me if I didn't like do more substances that let me talk to people. I don't know. It was one of those moments where I was like, I'm glad I'm not as bad as this guy. I felt really bad for him. He was like, I think, I don't know if it was me or his friend that asked him, why do you think that is? And he was just like, I don't know. He was like, I don't know. And he was still on mushrooms. So I saw his wheels spinning and he had this horrible look on his face, like this is my life, this is what it is. But he wasn't shy about saying it in the moment, but that's what he was saying. And I internalized that, like, holy shit, it could be a lot worse for me, but that's the same kind of mind that I have. And so that's the only person I've met in my entire life, and it was just for one night, and I only talked to them for like an hour. The only person I've met my entire life that has worse social anxiety and that kind of propensity than I do myself. And anywhere else I see it is on the internet through r/social anxiety. That's just a fun memory, not that fun, but an interesting logged data memory of my recent past. So these are the type of people that come onto Reddit, and it's nice that they have a place to. I've never posted here, but I feel like I probably could maybe get some advice here from these people. But these are the types of people that are posted. These people exist, and it's sad, and I'm kind of one of them. I'm just slightly integrated enough. But for example, the last week, actually, since the last time I filmed the last podcast episode, I don't think I've seen anyone besides the family that I live with. Which is, yeah, I've been on a pretty alone streak myself. Anyway, that was a good tangent. I have a couple more threads I want to go to, and then we'll get to the Florida man. I'm not going to go too crazy on this one. We can get hold on. Here's an interesting comment. I don't have on the same post that I had 10 minutes ago read. I don't have an agoraphobia, but I have so stupid off-the-chain OCD, another thing that I suffer from. I was a drug addict for 25 years. Another thing that I may or may not have suffered from in the past. And I know that most of my issue, I was told, were because of the drugs. I didn't. Now that's very interesting. I'm going to stop reading that right there, because if I start talking about this, it's going to be the rest of the episode. No, I'll make it brief. So, I was, fast forward past the kindergarten memory, I got very close to like 2 or 3 friends throughout my young preteen, teenage years. And then after that, we kind of parted ways. But when I turned 21 and when I started discovering alcohol and other things, prescription medications, some that were prescribed to me, is when I real is when I was like, oh, this is how I talk to people. It all makes sense now. So, opposite of this person, the drugs have always helped me, which is bringing me back to the memory of meeting that Hermit guy, self-described Hermit. I saw him as me in the future if I had never leaned on alcohol and other substances to force myself into social situations. Now, I don't recommend it. It's certainly more helpful to work it out in therapy or do some sort of, mind healing meditation or whatever, or other safer medication, quote unquote, to help with social anxiety than drink and do other things. But that's just how it worked out. Anyway, back to this comment. I didn't leave my house for almost a year back then. Fast forward to 5.5 years of being sober, and I'm dealing with the whole box of being manic, and anxiety is so off the chain now. I'm canceling plans or just not going. I'm curious how you make it out for a drive. I'm curious how you make it out for a drive. Do you feel better or worse after going? Not trying to impose, just thought maybe if it works for you, it could work for me. These are desperate people looking for it. This is... Okay, so the OP response. Yeah, I used drugs for 6 years and stopped a year ago. Thought it would solve... Here we go. Thought it would solve my problems, but it didn't. If I were to go outside and go on a walk, I couldn't do that. But when I know I'm walking to my car, I can. And I get inside and go on a drive like I associate my apartment the same as I associate my car. It helps getting outside after being inside all day. I usually play on a podcast. That was a Freudian slip. I usually play a podcast and just drive, and it clears my mind just a little bit. I usually go at nighttime when it's quiet and not bright outside. I feel like it's better that way when I go. Okay, so they're just interesting. Okay, I thought he was going to go more into the drugs thing. So he said he did use drugs for 6 years and stopped. I'm more interested. If I was commenting right now, I'd say, when you're using the drugs, were you less agoraphobic? I guess for some people, that might not be, alcohol might... Speak of which, a quick drink break. Gotta wet the whistle. So yeah, it's fascinating going into Reddit and seeing the vast psychological spectrum of very disturbed individuals in the same way that I am disturbed, but in different spaces of their lives. All right, let's go to the next post. I didn't plan on going so long on each one. Here's one that says, anyone else feel anxious even online? Now, this is one that has been big with me as of late. I feel so bad for this. I can't even accept message requests anywhere or play online games without feeling extremely anxious. I always ignore message requests, and it makes me feel like a bad person or rude. Sometimes I even have trouble writing comments or posting anything. And I'm just wondering, does this happen to anyone else? Maybe it's just because I've had bad experiences with the internet. Maybe it's just because my anxiety is severe. I totally get it. I feel the same way sometimes. Online interactions can be overwhelming, and it's normal to feel anxious. Blah, blah. Okay, so not too many deeper comments on this one, but yeah, so I like to think... Actually, I don't like to think. I know that if I didn't have the social anxiety, lack of confidence, whatever it is, combination that I have, that I would be able to be much more successful in all of my online content, social media endeavors have been. Guaranteed. I'm not saying I'd be some kind of famous star, but the barrier of not wanting to interact, especially with people I don't know, and the fact that public comments, especially, and just DMs, texts, the context of social interaction is so removed. I used to, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, online interactions are awesome because you don't have all the anxiety of the in-person thing. Now I've grown older. I'm like, it's actually easier in person because online it's so much easier to be misunderstood, and there's no visual cues and social cues or tone or voice. It's the worst communication format ever, especially when there's a lot of emotions involved. So it's funny that this is a thing that I experience myself a lot. And you may think, well, you're sitting here recording a podcast. It took a lot. Doing what I do here is one of the things I like to label as exposure therapy, in a way. That's what I've always, when I started live streaming video games, which was my first like real foray into trying to do something online that made some sort of, benefit between me and a community, growing a following, whatever. And that was that really helped because I didn't have many friends when I first moved to New York, and that's when I started doing that. So but it's all turned now because social media has grown insane. Every time I log into Instagram, it's like a similar feeling of walking into a party of 1,000 people that you've never met, and people are looking at you, and you're hearing thoughts and you're hearing conversations, and you just want to leave immediately. That's what the feeling I get every time I go on Instagram. It's so overwhelming. That's, I won't go any deeper into that. So yes, anyone else feeling anxious online? Very much so. But that's why I always like live streaming and recording podcasts. It's like, as long as I don't go and as long as the episodes don't get picked up by the algorithm and a bunch of shitty comments get posted, I can just have fun in the moment and not care about it afterwards. And then live streams, it's all, it feels more real. But, the text, it's so disconnected. It's a fucked up version of society. Anyway, next one. Next Reddit post. I really need a job. What jobs are there what jobs are there for people like us? I can barely go without having panic attacks. That's something I used to struggle with a lot, but I won't. I could go 2 hours for an episode like this. Continued. My self-esteem and confidence in my abilities so low that I put myself off every job I look into. I really want a job and I really need a job, but I've been out of work for over 3 years due to thyroid cancer. Oof. And other issues. And now my social anxiety is at its absolute worst, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. Damn. I'm actually interested to see if anyone has specific suggestions. But, I'm in a similar situation. Fortunately, no thyroid cancer, but can't find a real proper day job to save my life, even with my advanced degrees. So that is a problem for me as well. I've always looked at the solution to that as remote work, which I've gotten close to getting, but so far no cigar, and I'm still waiting to hear from things, and that sucks. That's a whole other conversation. Let's keep it moving for the sake of time. Let's see. Do you go without urinating because of anxiety? Yes. I don't know if it's just me, but I can't pee when there's someone talking near me or when I think someone is thinking about me at that moment. I start to feel ashamed of my body and I get extremely anxious. I find it hardest when I'm in a public restroom and hear the noise of people outside moving around. The feeling only disappears when I know there's no one there. 100%. I have the exact same condition. If there's ever a public restroom where there's no dividers between the urinals, absolutely go fuck yourself to the architect. I don't give a fuck how much money you're saving from not putting walls in. You're actually retarded. Fuck you. That really pisses me off for that reason. That being said, even if there are walls separating the urinals, if somebody walks to the other side of the urinal while I'm already at one, and I haven't started peeing yet, I won't be able to. I'll have to wait and pretend like it's a whole thing. I'll always go to the stall if it's open first, And then even if there's someone outside the stall, I have to like lean against the wall and be like, okay, no one's here. And then when they finally walk out, I'm like, okay, go. It's bad. Or else, unless my bladder's like exploding. But even then, it could make it hard. And then it's like, my bladder's going to explode and I need everyone to leave. This is a real problem. I totally relate to this guy. And a few comments. It's called paruresis or shy bladder. A real name for it. I'm fine peeing, but pooping, I cannot poop in a public place. Pretty similar situation for me. I mean, there's so many new posts here. There's a lot of, it's sad because a lot of these people are like speaking into the void and there's like nobody commenting. I'm sure maybe eventually people will comment, but I'm now looking at the camera and the light's blinking. Even though I have I finally bought the upgraded USB power cord, and what the fuck? Okay, guess that was a waste of money. I'll be right back momentarily. You won't miss a thing. Okay, sorry about the interruption. I literally bought the specific cable. Maybe it's plugged into a bad USB port that's not providing enough power, but tried to avoid anyway. Which is a sign that this has gone longer than I intended, but lots coming out of my mind about this topic, and again, a lot of people on Reddit feeling the same, if not worse, way than I am. Also interesting to note that this r/socialanxiety has 415k members, top 1% rank by size subreddit. That's pretty wild. So I think the internet is making all of this worse as well, even though when I was growing up as a small boy, the internet really wasn't a thing. So it's but I'm sure it's making it worse. So there's more and more people like this. But to what I was saying, there's certainly some sort of genes or psychological upbringing, perhaps trauma, but I'm not going to start getting into trauma, but I had a very positive childhood in terms of family life and whatnot, so I really don't know what's going on with me. I just like to believe I'm some sort of alien hybrid that has not found my home planet yet. With that, let's move to the Florida Man of the Week, which shout out to the Olympics, because what do you know? This Florida man brought home Team USA's first gold medal of the Paris Olympics. Florida for the win, USA Olympians. Florida. Caleb Dressel, born in Green Cove Springs, brought the win home in the final leg of the 4x100 meter relay Saturday afternoon. Reporting from St. Petersburg. So shout out Pinellas County. Is he from St. Pete? No. A Florida native had his name etched in Olympic history once again Saturday afternoon. Caleb, there's previous Florida men? Well, yeah, that's not surprising. But what makes this special? Brought home Team USA's first gold medal. Yes, so the first gold, according to this article, first gold medal to the Team USA of the Paris Olympics goes to a Florida man. Shout out Florida. Dressel pulled ahead with a massive lead in the anchor leg to secure the gold, followed by Australia with silver and Italy with bronze. Fuck yeah, Italy coming in with bronze. Viva l'Italia and Australia. Shout out to the Australian Italians, the Lily Pillies. Great band, Australian Italians. 3 of the greatest countries in the world know what they're doing here in the swimming 4x100, whatever that is. This is a short story, happy story, not a typical Florida man story, but I felt it was appropriate given the Olympic Games and celebrating Florida's ability to generate not just mentally deranged, criminal, crazy Florida people, but also elite athletes, world athletes, Olympians. Let's read a little bit more about him before we close this out. This win marks 8. Oh, shit, this guy's a veteran. 8 career medals for Dressel, all of them gold. It's safe to say Dressel was active in his youth as he played soccer and football and ran track, but grew up in a family of 6 in the Sunshine State. Began swimming at age 5, taking his talents all the way to Florida State University, where he reportedly holds several records. Dressel's medals: 2016 Olympics, 2 gold medals; 2017 World Championship, 7 gold medals; 2019 World Championship, 6 gold medals, 2 silver medals; 2020 Olympics, 5 gold medals. On top of these accolades, Dressel also holds world records in the LCM fly, the 50 SCM free, and the 100 SCM IM, and the 100 SCM fly. I don't know what any of those are, but shout out to him. Dressel currently resides in Macanopy, Florida, with his wife Megan and oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Black Labrador Retriever. Jane, according to his official. I'm not even gonna say what I thought I was about to read. just to pretend. I might have to edit. No, we're not editing this out. Black Labrador Retriever. It's a dog named Jane. I had my eyes had saw the word Labrador as something else, and I, it's fine. Everything's fine. Florida men just thought weird things. When does Caleb Dressel compete again? He's gonna keep competing. 50-meter freestyle, 100-meter butterfly. Men in August 1st, August 2nd. All right, well, shout out to the Florida man winning the first gold medal for U.S. in the Olympics, Mr. Caleb Dressel. We salute you, representing the Florida men. This may be the best, most positive Florida Man of the Week of all of the podcast Florida Man of the Weeks. I think I forgot who it was that I gave some sort of significant recognition to in the past for being crazy, but this one for being not crazy and awesome. So that'll do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you're still listening, I assume you're where you left this on by accident while you're sleeping or something. But if you were engaged in the topic of social anxiety and all the things I was talking about before, please leave a comment. If you struggle with it or something, and because that's good community. Not just forget the engagement of algorithm stuff. I'm just talking about, I want to hear your story if you have one, because I assume if you listen this far, you may have had some sort of interest in the topic and may relate. In which case, I hope you the best in your social anxiety journey, because I'm still going through mine. I don't think it'll ever go away, but we learn to live with it. Maybe we'll get into more mental health depths in the future. Who knows what it holds? Eventually, I hope to get a guest co-host again on. I'm developing a speech problem, but we've been on a record of solo episodes because of self-isolation and lack of social outreach. It's literally that reason, and closer friends being busy, and that, so it all comes full circle. Peace and love. Have a good week. Talk to you next time. Salute.